Hey there. So I'm going to go ahead and go over how to use the distributive property and the area model to multiply decimals. So this is number 2 on the 0407 worksheet, partial Philly fun. You've got 6 and 4/10 times 1 and 2/10. And on the worksheet, it wants you to use the distributive property and an area model to multiply. So to start off, you're going to make your area model, which is just by making a box. And the distributive property part of this lesson is just what it means is just to break the decimal apart. So in this case, the distributive property, they want you to break the decimal apart. So 6 and 4/10 we're going to start with. That can be broken up into 6 wholes and 0 and 4/10. And I can put the 0 there as a placeholder. And on the area model, since I broke this number up into 2 numbers, I'm going to draw a line down, okay? And then I've got 1 and 2/10 using the distributive property. I'm going to break that number apart into 1 whole and 2/10. And I'm going to draw a line across to break up those 2 numbers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the 4 numbers by matching them in the box. So I'm going to start with 1 times 6. I'm going to do 1 times 6, which is 6. And then I'm going to go to my next 2 numbers. We'll do 1 times 4/10. Anything times 1 is itself. So that's going to be 4/10. Then I'm going to do 2/10 times 6. And I know that 6 times 2 is 12, but I do need to put my decimal in. And I can do, I know that there's 1 digit after the decimal and 2/10. So in my answer, I need to have 1 digit after my decimal. So I'm going to put the decimal in between the 1 and the 2. And that way it shows that there's 1 digit after the decimal in my answer. And then the last numbers I'm going to multiply are 2/10 times 4/10. 2 times 4 is 8. And then I've got 1 digit after my decimal and 4/10. 1 digit after my decimal and 2/10. So altogether, my answer should have 2 digits after the decimal. So I'm going to put a 0 as a placeholder and then put my decimal before that 0. And you can see there that there's 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add up your numbers. And remember, when you're adding decimals, you need to line up the decimals. So I'm going to put my decimal in for 6. Since it's a whole number, my decimal comes at the end. And I can put zeros there as placeholders. Then I have 0 and 4/10. Notice I lined up my decimals. Then I have 1 and 2/10. And then 8/100. And I can put in zeros as placeholders here to hold the spot. Whoops, that's supposed to be addition. Okay, now I'm going to add. I've got 8 and 6 and 7. Whoops. So 7 and 6/8 is our answer. And that's using the distributive property and the area model to solve this multiplication problem.